right, we are here with Jihan Minson. She's a level 2 ASPA certified coach, and we're going to talk a little bit about your swimming background and kind of how your program runs. So, can you tell me first, how did you get into swimming?
So I grew up swimming. I swam in New Jersey swimming, a little bit of Mid-Atlantic, but I spent most of my time in New Jersey swimming for a program called Eastern Express and fell in love. I had two, it was a husband and wife team, and they were amazing coaches, and I really enjoyed swimming for them. And I got to work in the Swim America program while I was in high school, and I did that. And then on my free weekends in college, I would come home and work the program as well. And so I fell in love with Swim America. After college, I moved down to Virginia for grad school. And a couple years in, we brought Swim America into our program at Coast Guard Blue Dolphins. And I was just excited to keep going with Swim America. So did that for many years until became a stay-at-home mom, and I stepped away for swimming for about 6.5 years. And
Mhm.
soon as my daughter was ready for the team, I said I'll be back for 2 days a week, and now I'm back every day. So
Nice. So you got started with Swim America real young. How is it,
I
how's that
did.
process been? Like being from an instructor when you were so young to being now program director of over 6 locations in the summer, 4 in the winter.
It is, it's kind of surreal. I mean, to think about where I started, but I've always loved the little ones, like level one, level two. I remember my first couple of years teaching lessons and, not really understanding what preschoolers were like, but I really enjoyed one. And I think for the most part, I was pretty good at teaching ones and twos. And that was kind of my happy place being with the little ones. And so I've moved my way up and I became site supervisor, I think in 2001. So I've been site supervisor for a long time,
Nice.
and really enjoyed doing that and helping other people. And that just kind of turned into, I really want this program to be a success down here in Virginia. And how do we build it so that it's not just helping the siblings of our swim team families, but helping the community, especially since we're so surrounded by water, and making sure that when kids go to the beach or the pool or the lake or the river, that they know how to swim.
Mm. So helping our community, when we were at World Clinic and you spoke with the that program doesn't look like mine panel, you mentioned running a second grade nonprofit program. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So we have a partnership with the City of Hampton school system, and we are about to start our third year of doing that.
Hey.
We through 1,400 to 1,600 swimmers each year, over from January to June. They come in and
Okay.
swim with us. They get 5 straight days of an hour and a half with us. And the goal is to make them water safe. A lot of these kids have never been in a pool, never seen a
Mhm.
pool. They're almost all from Title I schools. And so swim lessons were not something that um, is part of their family's budget. And so we are really passionate about getting them in the water, teaching them water safety. A lot of them come in and say, I can swim, but I don't know how to put my face in the water. And so it's educating them really what swimming is and what it isn't. And through that program, we also work really hard to secure grants so that they can continue swimming with us after that if they want to. We also work with the schools to come in May and do water safety month and educate the kids and the parents. So I think the big thing for that program is not only are we educating the kids in the water, we're educating their families. Very, I would say about half of the families, some parent comes through throughout the week because they are terrified and they are not even sure they want to sign the permission slip to let their kids come. So it is educating them about water safety, making them realize that their kids are very safe in the water, that we've got instructors everywhere, and we've got lifeguards, and we've got teachers, and we've got site supervisors, and there are just people everywhere to make sure their kids are safe, but also giving them the opportunity to do lessons. And I am very big proponent of generational lessons because if you don't teach mom and grandma how to swim, they're not going to bring their younger ones to the water. And so we give them the opportunity to come on scholarship as well and swim with our program.
That's so interesting. One of the things that caught my attention was an hour and a half long lesson. How do you keep them engaged for that long of a time?
So when this was set up, I think the thing I would tell a new program or somebody who's starting this is you have to set the program on what works for the school. I would have loved to have spread it out in shorter lessons and gone longer, but that didn't work. The schools could really only pull those kids out for a week. It is a distraction, but it's an important distraction. But those kids come back exhausted, and so they're not getting the work that they would get in a normal week done. So this is the schedule that the school could do, and we said, okay, we'll figure it out. So they come in, they get off the bus, they're super excited to be at this facility. They go and change their clothes in the locker room, they line up, we bring them all on the pool deck, and we do water safety talks. So day one is pool rules and just kind of basic. How do you enter the pool? How do you exit the pool? We test their levels and figure out where they are. Day two, we go into pool safety. Day three, we do signs and saving people in the water, don't get in, make sure you're not alone, things like that. And then we also do river safety, ocean safety. And the last day we talk about careers. If you know how to swim, you can scuba dive, you can snorkel, you can be a marine biologist. And so we talk about all of those opportunities and try to expand that there are things that they may not know about that are not far from them, especially where we live. And we talk about the universities that offer those types of programs. So that takes about 15, 20 minutes every day where we kind of give them a talk and they are super excited. Their hands are up. We try and answer questions. And I was surprised at how long they will sit and learn when it's something they're interested in. So that is really cool. Then we get them in the water and we try and keep them moving. That's the biggest thing. They get cold if they sit still.
Yes.
So we got the ledges, and we're lucky with the pool that we use. They have ledges. They are second graders. They're tall enough to stand, but we'll have them go up and down. We'll have them practice the skills while they're on the wall waiting their turn. We're doing two, three kids at a time when they're in level 3 and 4 and they're kicking and swimming. We try and keep them moving as much as we can, and that makes a big difference. The water is warmer. It's about 84, but it's not
Okay.
ridiculously warm.
Yeah.
So it's really that movement and making sure that they're safe on the wall, but not making them sit there and wait for 5, 6 minutes until you can get back to them. A lot of these kids don't have swimsuits, so we provide them swimsuits. We have some rash guards. We have, we provide the goggles, we provide all that. So we try and make sure they're coming in clothing appropriate attire. When you come in your off the street clothes, you get colder so much quicker because it
Hmm.
holds that water in. So we try to supply as much as we can. And the reason we chose second grade, the school system felt like that was the first grade that they could dress themselves and get themselves ready. It's not perfect. We still have kids that come in their underwear all the time, and we have to have them take it off. But they are able to tie their shoes and put their stuff in a bag and keep everything separate for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. I want to ask, how do you get started with if a new program were to want to get started doing something similar with their school, how did you go about working with the school district and figuring out scholarships, grants, etc.?
So I will say I didn't start that initial talk. Our
Okay.
former CEO of our organization, he started the talk, and I kind of came in after my kids got old enough and joined the team. But I
Okay.
was probably in that talk for maybe 2 years before we started the program. But the biggest thing was trying to find the funding. And in our area, we got a new facility.
Okay.
So part of the city budget was making sure that those kids learned how to swim. But we've worked with other school districts, and a lot of them have money to put towards this. It's the busing that seems to be the biggest issue, at least
Okay.
in Hampton Roads. And so trying to make sure that pool is pretty close to those locations, because the bus system, it's one person they have to pay, and they pick up the one school because we do two schools a day. So they pick up one school, drop them off, go get the other school, drop them off, and the schools are all within 10 minutes or so of the pool. And so that makes a big difference. But they're really only employing one bus driver the way we set up the program, and that helps with the cost. So the school system pays for the bus, and they help the facility with like the cost of the lifeguards, and
Hmm.
it's not a cheap program, but when you think about how many kids you're touching and how many are succeeding, then it's worth it. I mean, these kids are graduating. I think the average is 2.6 classes in a week. So, they're starting at level one. They're almost level fours by the time they leave us. And I mean,
It's
that's
incredible.
quite a bit of success in 1 week.
Hmm. That's amazing. So I want to ask with this busy second grade program that, let's say, you said January through June, and managing all these facilities, you bounce between 6 facilities and 4 facilities with winter and summer. How do you manage your week? What's your day look like?
My day is crazy. So, I guess I'm kind of thankful I didn't do this for work or for swimming or anything, but my kids are homeschooled. So, they're home during the day, and they get in the car with me quite often, and drive from facilities to pools. They're getting older now, so they can be home. Plus, my husband is home a few days a week, but I rotate pools. Yesterday, I drove over 200 miles
Oh
in
my
like four and a
gosh.
half hours. So, there are
Oh my
days where it's
gosh.
crazy. Yesterday was the norm, but because I also am the director of operations for our swim team,
Okay.
there are days where I'm 3 or 4 pools a day. But I think the biggest thing is I have amazing site supervisors. I don't go to every pool every day. We use a scheduling software called Sling to schedule all of our staff, but it also has a communication tag in that. We've got a chat for our site supervisors. We've got a chat for our admin people. We've got a chat for our staff. For the most part, I know what's going on before they can even tell me what's going on. So, I think it's having that communication, having parents that trust us, and just making sure that our program is the same at every location. And that is not the easiest thing to do, but we meet as a staff pretty regularly. I see my two head site supervisors every day. I talk to them both on the phone every day. So there's that communication, that's important. And then our staff meets pretty regularly. We normally run, not for our second grade program, but our regular programs, we run 4 weeks on, 1 week off. During that week off, it's weather delays, makeups, things like that, but it's also staff training and staff meetings. We try and do a lot of staff socials, like we're doing a escape room for Halloween in two
Oh, it's
weeks,
fun.
and try and bring everybody together. They know they can text me. I try not to text after 9 and spend some time with my children at night, but I am, pretty available most of the time, and I think that helps. Our staff is pretty close, so I don't have to be at every pool every day.
That's amazing. How do you go about training your staff so that you don't have to be at every pool every day?
So our site supervisors are obviously people who have been around for a while, and that's good. And so they know our program. I think at the ASCO conference, I talked about how I am very strict about the words we use in our Swim America program, and that they're the same words we use on our swim team. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing just our Swim America program, you're doing Swim America and our team. It's kick on the side, it's streamline, it's split kick. Like those kids learn it from level 2 all the way up, and they know about body position. It's the same thing. And the kids that come out of Swim America and go to our team do much better than kids that come from summer league or other programs.
Mhm.
And so I think when you're training your staff that way, they get the same drills that our swim team kids or that our swim team coaches get. They're in the same meetings that our swim coaches get. They get the same emails, all of that stuff. I think that helps keep the structure on our team and make sure that everybody's on the same page. When a new person comes in, myself or my two head site supervisors sit down with them before they start training, before they take the Swim America test. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you. I want to know a little bit about your family. I want you to know that you're coming into a culture.
Mhm.
And if I don't feel like you're going to fit in that culture, then it's not going to work. So we will have you shadow our instructors for quite a while. I call it a rolling interview. So once we've talked to you online, you'll come in, you'll shadow, you'll start to teach one or two kids, all of that before we will formally offer you a position. I want to see how you do in the water because that's very different than what you tell me on a Zoom or in person.
Mhm.
And I also want to see how you fit with the rest of our staff. To me, I feel like one person can ruin a culture, and I don't want that on
Definitely.
our team.
Yeah. How do you go about finding staff that you can rely on? A lot of teams are using high schoolers. Do you use high schoolers or is it just adults? Or how do you go about finding them?
We do use high schoolers. I do have some kids that come off of our national team or in our high school groups, but we that's not the primary group in our staff because they're training at the same time. So a good portion of our staff are military moms or dads. I've got quite a few retirees. I've got quite a few people that swam high school or summer league and know the basics of swimming, but maybe aren't year-round swimmers. And then we are kind of surrounded by colleges too. We've got 4 colleges within like 20 minutes of most of our
Okay.
facilities. I'll look for college students as well that maybe swim year-round, but are just doing club team or whatever. And so I would say we have a wide range of staff. We go from 16 years old up to 55, 65, depending on the year. So, I mean, military families, sometimes they're in and out, but those moms normally want to make a difference in their community, are looking for something to do, and they have turned out to be my best site supervisors. I lose them sometimes, but hopefully they come back.
That's so good. To good. Oh my gosh. That's so good to know because a lot of programs, I feel like if you're in an area of college campuses, don't tend to go for them because they're college kids, they're in school. But that's such an interesting way to think about that. I'm gonna change topic a little bit. You are on the
Okay.
DEI, you are the DEI chair member for the Virginia Swimming Board. How is that like, how does that work? How do you apply that to your program?
So yeah, I'm the DI and disability chair for Virginia
Oh, and
Swimming,
disability.
and
Okay.
I think that's so important. I grew up swimming in an area that felt like was very inclusive, but maybe not very diverse. Um, and so I want everybody to have that option to swim. I want everybody to know how to swim. I don't want to hear about people's grandchildren and their children drowning. That terrifies me. Um, my parents really kind of instilled you give back to your community. I always lifeguarded as a teen and disadvantaged communities and taught some lessons there. And so I think that's just something my parents instilled, and it's been super important to me. And so I want to get back to the community. We work really hard to have a very diverse staff. We've got quite a few staff members that are disabled. We've got quite a few staff members that come from many different cultures and countries. I want you to walk onto the pool deck and see somebody that you can relate to. It may not be me, may not be my site supervisors, but it might be an instructor that's in the water. And we also use the Swim Angelfish program for our lessons for children with special needs. And so I just think you're going to work hard. You're going to feel confident. Your parents are going to feel confident if they step onto a staff and they see somebody that looks like them or is out that day for that religious holiday or needs assistance getting in the pool as well. And so, I feel like it's not school's fault. They're overcrowded and they've got a lot of issues going on, but they don't always get that in school. And in our area, like I said, I homeschool my kids, but we also, Virginia has one of the biggest homeschool populations in the country.
Interesting.
And we have a very large homeschool population because of that. They feel like they don't fit in schools and schools aren't meeting their needs. And so we run quite a few homeschool lessons. We run a homeschool swim program, and they're getting bigger and bigger every year. So I realized very early on that DEI disability were just super important, not just to make money, but to meet the needs of our community.
Yeah. How important is it for clubs who maybe don't have any DEI or disability like integrated into their club to get some kind of something?
Yeah, I don't, there are certain areas where that's going to be trickier than others, but I
Hmm.
think the more you can think about that, the more you can think about things like full coverage bathing suits, caps that fit kids, the more success you're going to have because when a parent walks into a facility or a lessons program and feels like they don't belong, they're not to come back.
Yeah.
And I feel like word of mouth is one of your best marketing tools. And so if they walk in and they feel like they're in a community, they're going to go tell their friends, they're going to go tell their families. It's going to be a place that they feel like they can belong. They're not going to just bring one kid, they're going to bring all of their siblings, they're going to bring the parents, they're going to, bring people from their church and their other extracurricular activities. And so I just feel like making them feel wanted and part of your community not only helps your bottom line, but you're making sure that the drowning statistic drops and it just keeps getting higher and higher, especially for children, for minority children and disabled children. I mean, the statistics for Black and autistic children are just they just keep growing and they get higher
Hmm.
and higher every year, and it's scary.
Yeah, definitely. One more thing I want to ask you, because it keeps sticking in my mind, is you talked about these generational lessons that you do. Can you tell me a bit more about how you do that? Because as we know, like when parents have had swim lessons, they're more likely to put their kids into swim lessons. So can you tell me a bit more about that?
So we found, and I think Swim America is the perfect program for this. I love Swim America for this. You can run those families either together or you can run them, one right after another so that they're all coming at the same time. I think the greatest thing about Swim America is you can have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a parent all in the water at the same time, get half hour of swimming, go home. You're not trying to stack multiple lessons. You're not trying to organize your schedule with
Hmm.
everything else you have going on. We all know parents are super busy. So the easier you make it on them, the more willing they are to get in because they want their kids to learn too. And a lot of them have some type of fear or something that prevented them from doing it. So you make it easy for them. They're just as excited to take lessons alongside. We try and separate them in the pool. They're not in with their children, but we might have
Hmm.
parents on one side, kids on another, and they can get it all done at one time and everybody learn how to swim. And I will tell you, those parents and adults are just as happy to ring the cowbell and get their picture taken as the little ones.
That's
So
so great to
I
hear.
really think adults so rewarding because they want to be there. They want to learn. And I
Yeah,
was watching our lessons program on Tuesday. Yeah, today's Thursday, Tuesday, and we had a dad. He had his little girls in lessons, and he's over in the deep end. He came to us not even being able to put his face in the water at the beginning of the summer. He's doing breaststroke and butterfly now. So
that's
he,
incredible.
it's easy. Slide in. And I
Yes.
think the easier you make lessons for families, the better it is. And also, we want those kids in parent baby, and we learned really early on that parent baby doesn't work if dad is terrified to get in the water. He comes, he's super excited to bring his baby, and then you realize you can't teach how to slide in and hold your child because he's too terrified to stand up in the shallow end. So we just felt like we needed to reach that community and give them that option so that they could make sure their kids knew how to swim.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Last thing, do you have any advice that you would give to any new programs that are just starting out?
Take it slow. I think that's advice. You cannot conquer everything in one day, and you can't expect to conquer everything in one day. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, and you just keep going. You are making a difference. It may not be as fast as you want, but you are meeting the needs of your community, and the more lessons, the better. So take it slow, build your program, make sure you got one location down pat before you add another one, and just realize that you are helping your community, and all of that is worth it.